So over the weekend, I asked for some questions that y'all might need some advice on, and turns out that half of them were questions relating to dating and relationships. And I'm here to answer them even though I am very single and have an embarrassingly low amount of dating and relationship experience. So do take my words with a pinch of salt. There are other questions that are not dating and relationship related, but just check the timestamps. I'll put it down in the chapters. So how to not feel lonely being single when all your friends are attached? Personally, I've been single 24 of my 25 years in my life, so I'm a bona fide expert on this. Since you're saying it's because your friends are attached, I take it that you're struggling with comparison. You have to realize that it's not all sunshine and roses when you're in a relationship. For that companionship, you're giving up and compromising some part of yourself as well. Time and emotional space to someone else, and the latter is something that you can't control. So this can actually cause you a lot of anxiety and heartache. Point is, you have to take advantage of these things that you would normally have to compromise on if you're in a relationship. To me, that is time for yourself. Without a relationship, you're going to have one less responsibility, and that gives you a lot of time to actually do things that you enjoy. I find that honing yourself in a craft that you're really interested in really helps you fight the feeling of loneliness that might come from time to time. And don't worry, this type of loneliness is something that I struggle with as well. Some days are okay, but I also know that some days might feel a bit more unbearable. But as the internet says, it's better to be lonely alone than to be lonely in a relationship. How to get a boyfriend in uni? I don't know. I've never gotten a boyfriend in uni before. In marketing, there's this term called reach. I covered it briefly in a previous video, so you can go check it out. So reach refers to the number of unique people that have viewed your content or ad. So applying this concept, you want to expand your reach, because that means you'll naturally find more unique people that could become your boyfriend. Put yourself out there by joining interest groups, going up to that person in your tutorial group and just saying hi. If you want to get a boyfriend or partner for that matter, you don't just sit there and do nothing. You need to take some initiative and be courageous. You know, sitting there doing nothing and waiting for a boyfriend or girlfriend to pop up, I know it doesn't work for everyone. Certainly didn't work for me. Nice places to bring your date on. I don't think I'll be able to answer this very well. I don't exactly have a ton of experience in this department. My dating and love life is a tragic comedy. I feel that any place can be a nice place for a date as long as both of you enjoy your time together. I think my personal favorite date would be to do grocery shopping with the other person, and it would also be a plus if you cooked a meal afterwards. If you're not exactly a skilled conversationalist, I would say something activity based is better if you're trying to find a place to bring your date on. Things like, I don't know, mini golf, skating together. Tune the activity based on the shared interests that you both have. If you both like to dance, perhaps you can try a dance class. A stand-up comedy show is also something that you can try as well. If you both like quiet places, a walk or a simple dinner would suffice. I think the place comes after the activity. But for the record, I think Dempsey and Young's, which is at the Seletar Aerospace area, both of them are nice places. How to / when is a good time to confess to someone you've liked for a very long time? This is a tricky one. I think it really depends on the dynamic that you've built with this particular person so far. And I'll give you like two scenarios. So first scenario is that you've flirted with this said person before and you send some reciprocation. He, she, pronoun flirts back. This person actively seeks to meet up with you as you would to them as well. There's mutual effort in the engagement of one another, and there's positive body language, and you've been on dates together. Chances are this person likes you. Find a night when you can hang out and speak from your kokoro about how you feel about this person. So your kokoro is your heart. If you want to prepare, maybe write a love letter and read it out to them when you meet up. Write about how they make you feel, what you think about them, how this person inspires you, and most importantly, what your expectations are in taking this forward. Whether you want to pursue a proper relationship or not. Be direct and honest. Okay, then we get to scenario 2. So scenario 2 is that you've never flirted with this person before, and up till now, the dynamic has always been friends. You've never actually been on a date before. The times that you hang out have never been established as dates. This person has never tried flirting with you and obviously just treats you as a friend. Then I would say in this situation, don't confess anytime soon. Because from the perspective of the other person, if you actually do confess, it could come to them as a huge shock. And the sticky situation comes in if they aren't into you in the same way. Because now they've been dropped with this lose-lose situation, which is, if I reject you, I will be hurting the feelings of a friend I care deeply about. And number 2, if I say okay to date, I will be going against what I actually want, which is just a friendship. It's a huge bombshell to them if they've only ever seen you as a friend, only to realize that you've harbored feelings for them for such a long time. Because in their heads, it would also make them question whether this friendship was genuine or not. Whether you made friends with them just so you could be in a relationship with them in the future. If this is the case for you, you'll probably have to ease them into the idea of being a potential partner. You can casually joke around about the idea of both of y'all being together and see how they respond. If it's positive, you can try asking them out for a date and see how it goes on from there. I would say if you're in this scenario, if you you really can't wait, only confess to them if you're able to handle the potential rejection, and if you can respect the boundary that you might possibly just be friends and nothing more. High risk and high reward. You have to remember that the reality that you've built up inside your head is not the same as the other person's. I could talk a lot more about all of these things. Let me know if I should do more relationship type advice content. More than friends, less than couple dynamic. This guy is giving me mixed signals. Should I confront him? Plus, he broke up 2 months ago. How do I tell whether a girl whom I like feels the same way about me? There's only one thing I can say about this, which is ask. Just ask. I find that there's no point wasting time wondering what the other person thinks about you when the answer can come right from them. And if you're afraid to do so, it's because you fear the rejection. I've been in this situation too many times and it hurts. I get it. But it wouldn't hurt as hard as it would if you're in a state of uncertainty and questioning about what the dynamic is between both of you every single day for months. It wouldn't hurt as hard as that. And depending on the answer this person gives you, that's where you have to make your decision. For the first 2 questions, you might be in this thing called a situationship. Many times it'll come down to someone liking you, but not wanting to be in a relationship because they feel they are not ready. I personally don't believe that being ready is a black or white answer, rather a spectrum of how ready you are. And your decision on what to do will really depend on how willing you are to risk and tolerate the readiness of the other person. Because if they aren't ready and you want to stick with them, that's on you. You risk wasting your time, and if they eventually come clean and say they don't want to pursue a relationship with you, you can't blame them and say that they let you on because you had a chance to walk away. And I would really say don't have expectations, because I would say unmet expectations would be the root of your anxiety if this doesn't turn out well. Speaking from personal experience, no matter how good a person is, if they bring a lot of uncertainty on how valued you feel by them, it's not worth it. Potential should not distract you from the reality you're seeing now. Don't purely date potential. One advice you would give to your younger self and why? I would say to be more courageous in projecting my own needs and wants. I think growing up I was always a bit more of a social pleaser, and that meant that I was always afraid in disturbing any dynamic that I had built up with the people around me. Whether it's asking a friend out on a date, someone I've liked for a very long time, or standing up for myself at home, this behavior is bad because it carries itself to adulthood. And even now it does feel weird when I'm prioritizing my own needs and wants over someone else's. But I would say that it will feel a lot more liberating once you start doing that, because ultimately somebody else isn't living your own life. You are. Being courageous doesn't mean not being afraid. Rather, it's to still stand up and fight for yourself in the face of fear. How do I stop comparing myself to others? Think of it this way. It's not fair to compare yourself to people you think are more exceptional than you. If you want to be truly fair, then you need to seek out people that are worse than you as well. And that shouldn't even matter, because even if someone's better than you at something, you are probably better than them at something else, vice versa. So let's say I actively compare myself to someone else. I think it would only be fair if every single circumstance we both grew up in were exactly the same. The teachers we grew up with, the people we grew up with, our socioeconomic status, etc. There's really no way for you to accurately compare with someone else where it would be a fair comparison. We all have different starting points and different rates of growth. And that's why it would be unfair to yourself to compare yourself to others excessively. You should switch up the mindset of comparing you to yourself. AKA, look at yourself 1 year ago versus now and see if there's any change. And also think to yourself 1 year from now, what do you want to become versus the present? As some video from the School of Life said, we tend to overestimate how much we can achieve in a day, but we tend to underestimate the amount we can achieve in a year. Interesting part-time jobs to do and try out after ORD while waiting for uni. Be my unpaid intern. For real, pick up a skill that you might find useful. Video editing is really useful nowadays. A creative job could be something to try because content is really popular. I personally think that my internship under the creative department at the Smart Local was amazing. And yeah, I learned a lot from that. I talked about it in this video. Check it out. How to not suffer depression as a Man U fan. Keep your expectations low and don't watch every match. Listen, Man U fans. The position you're in is pretty similar to the situation Liverpool were in 12 years ago. Your club is still in a much better position because y'all still have decent players and a shitload of money. You probably need to temper your expectations. You have to get used to not winning trophies. Realize that losing a football match doesn't mean that the world is going to end. Be angry for the 90 minutes that you're watching the match, but after it's over, get back to your life. If I can slog through the dog shit that is Paul Konchesky at left back and David Ngog leading the lines along with Milan Jovanovic on the wings, you can surely handle having McFred and 80 million pound slaphead Maguire. How to say no to more work? I would say it's a point of establishing boundaries. You need to be realistic on what you're able to handle. And if it's more than your capacity, you should relay it to whoever is giving your work in a respectful but firm manner. Honestly, I can't really give advice for this. If you need advice like that, Reddit is always a very good place. I found a thread on Reddit that you can check out in the video description below. Self-confidence. I would say one way to build up self-confidence is to realize that you're more capable than you think. Chances are you're not confident because you have exorbitant expectations of yourself which stem from comparing yourself to other people. A good way to slowly build up your self-confidence would be to recognize your little wins every single day. So if you think you look good in a new outfit, that's a win. If you thought you were more productive than usual, that's a win. Acknowledge these little things you achieve, and over time, it'll build. And you realize that you can do a lot more things than you thought you could, and that will build your self-confidence. Tips for uni or YouTube? I'm not sure if I really have the capacity to be giving out tips for uni or YouTube for that matter. For YouTube, the main one would be quantity over quality while you're starting out. If you're new to content or creative work, the best way to make the best content would be to churn out as much as possible at the start, rather than trying to create something perfect from the get-go. Practice makes perfect, and the very act of churning out more and more videos, you'll realize the mistakes that you want to eradicate much faster. This is because you have a reference from the video you just uploaded on what you don't want to have in a future upload. You upload a video and then you realize that, damn, I actually want this shot to be better. Oh, I didn't like how this shot was made. I didn't like how I was talking in this shot. You won't make the same mistake in the next one. Tips for uni? I don't know, have fun. Inevitably, there'll be problems and stresses that will come to you. You're not going to be able to avoid that. But the thing is, you want to maintain an overarching idea and drive that you're in university to live your best life as a young adult. In terms of exploration, learning knowledge, learning who you are, networking, and I could go on and on. That's a very summarized version on what I can really say about uni tips. Last question that I'll cover: how to overcome social anxiety and make genuine friendships. The key to closer friendships would be to have the courage to be vulnerable to one another. So you gotta be willing to relay your troubles to someone else, because chances are, if they are able to relate to that, it'll make both of you feel a lot more seen and heard. And that's what would help deepen the bond you would have with another person. It doesn't have to be about worries or anxieties. It could be things that you're excited or happy about as well. The point is to share experiences with one another, along with the feeling you had in those situations. Don't just relay information and details if you want to make more genuine friendships. So overcoming social anxiety wise, realize that strangers don't give a shit about you. If you think people are constantly scrutinizing and judging every single thing you do, realize that people you think are doing that could also be thinking that you are scrutinizing and judging them. It's called the spotlight effect. And the spotlight effect is a phenomenon where people tend to overestimate how much others notice aspects of one's appearance or behavior. So you would think that there's a spotlight on yourself because in your life, you are the protagonist. But you also have to realize that you are not the protagonist of someone else's life as well. You get what I mean here? I think a lot of people severely overestimate the amount of time other people spend thinking about them. Spoiler alert, you're not that special. And this is, for me, is what helped me be a lot more comfortable in social situations. And once you really rid yourself of that pressure, you feel a lot more at ease being around other people. If you're at a food court eating lunch alone, no one's going to be thinking that this person has no friends. They probably don't give a shit. And if they do, it speaks more about them than you. Yeah, people have better things to do than to judge you, like deciding what to eat for lunch. I hope the advice was helpful. I like doing this kind of content. Let me know if I should do more. If you guys want to see the Q&A I did when I hit 10,000 subscribers, click here. If you guys want to see me giving out college advice to students, click here. And that's it for the video. The name's Dargo, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Leave us up. Bye bye. Bye bye.